YouTube, what is up guys? Welcome back to another beautiful day in Mexico in Forza Horizon 5. Today we are focusing on best steering wheel setups for you guys to use on the Logitech G920 and the G29 steering wheel setups. So let's get right into it, but before we do, if you guys do enjoy this channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button guys, and also if you guys want to check out our social medias, click the links below, give them all a quick follow. Appreciate the love and support. So let's get right into today's video. All right guys, so here we are now in the settings, specifically in the advanced control settings. Before we get into the actual settings of the wheel guys, I want to point something out to you guys. So right now I'm using a controller. Even though I have my wheels set up right now as well with the Xbox, they're both plugged in. I click start on my controller, and as you guys will see, the settings in the advanced control will vary drastically. And the settings I input, for example, a dead zone on steering, will be different if I put it here on the controller versus if I hit start and go through the settings on the steering wheel. So that is a big first kind of FYI to you guys. Make sure when you guys are adjusting these settings that you're doing it through the start menu on the steering wheel itself, not through the controller, because the menus do vary. So let's get right into the actual steering wheel. So you guys, as you can see, the advanced controls when I went through the steering wheel setup is completely different when I did the start menu through the controller. So please make sure you are on your steering wheel and doing this. So we're gonna get right into it today. I'm gonna just scroll down the menu very quickly just so you guys could actually see. Let me just see here the settings if you guys don't want to listen kind of what they are. These are essentially the settings I found. Now again, steering wheel setups are very subjective guys. My setup versus your setup will change. I like cars to have more control versus sliding on the back end. I also don't like as much force feedback. I find the force feedback is very, it changes. It doesn't feel real. It feels too artificial, too fake. So again, everything will vary person to person. So these are my settings guys. So let's get right into it. So steering axis, so we just literally for the dead zone in and out, we didn't change that at all. We left that default guys. The actual acceleration dead zone we did change, as you guys can see right here. The in, I did increase it slightly. I went from 0 to 5, and the reason for that guys is as soon as I press the gas, I don't want the back end fishline. Specifically if you have a high horsepowered, rear wheel drive car. If you have all wheel drive or front wheel, you won't notice it too much. But specifically in a rear end, if I'm going around a corner and I'm trying to actually, take an apex, I don't want as soon as I press the gas that it literally will fishtail on me. So a little bit of dead zone's nice there. Again, this is my opinion. And on the outside as well, so the in is as soon as you press the gas guys, the out is once it's floored. So how soon will that be at 100% compressed, right? So the out, I didn't want it at 100%. If I'm going flat out guys, I want it to be a little less. I don't want to have to push the, the gas all the way down. So I went 90. I found 90 was the best. Again, the way I have this set up, I should have said this at the start, is for track use, cruising, and with minimal drifting. Like this drift setups are going to be very different. You could use this for drifting. You will have a lot of control on your drift, but again, this is mainly cruising, track, racing, again, off-road as well, but not so much city drift guys. That will change slightly. Next, we're going to get into the clutch. The clutch is a big topic guys. So with the clutch, this only applies if you're using the clutch and manual setting option. Okay, if you're just using manual only, the clutch is not necessary, so you could ignore this option. Again, the clutch in is how soon the clutch will engage. And right now the default I think is 10, but I wanted it right away. Like I don't want to have a delay when I'm trying to shift gears, especially in a high speed race. So I put it at 0. I found that works best. And the same thing with the out. How soon am I going to hit that max clutch compression? It was originally, I think at 80, I think it was 85, 90. I went down to 70. I found that worked best there. And then we could get into the actual e-brake. Now the e-brake, I didn't really care again because I'm not using this for drifting guys. If you are using this for drifting, what you're going to want to do is adjust the inside a little bit more. So how soon when you pull that e-brake, it's going to actually get engaged, okay? You also probably want to do the out as well. If you're doing it a lot and you're pulling it really heavily, the out you might want to drop down maybe like a third. So that's like 30% roughly down from 100. But again, it's all experimenting. I actually don't even use a USB handbrake. I just press B on the actual steering wheel setup. So it works fine for me. Okay guys, then we get into force feedback. Now force feedback is a huge topic when it comes to racing wheel setups. I personally don't like it when I'm fighting the wheel. Like I feel like I have to be lifting 100-pound weight to kind of combat the way the force feedback works. So I put it at 0.4. I found this was a nice overall. The thing you got to keep in mind too, as we get into the center spring scale, which they are different, they're not the same, is sometimes the lower force feedback you go, the lighter the wheel is, which means you'll be oscillating the wheel more. So you got to kind of play with it, guys. I found 0.4 works the best. And going down to the center spring as well, I didn't like the fact that I was fighting so much with it. If you increase it, I think it's 0.1 default. If you go to like a point, let's say 1.2, 1.3, it was nice because it was nice and stiff, the wheel. I thought it was a little too much. I wanted it to feel more loose, kind of fluid as I'm racing. So again, I went down to 0 for the center spring, guys. And as well as we get into the wheel dampering, I went 0.5 on this here. Again, you guys could kind of go with a larger value, you know, or sorry, a lower value if you want it more lighter. But to kind of combat that force feedback, well, the lack of force feedback, because I lowered it, and the lack of the center spring, I increased the wheel damper scale to from 1.0, I think it was, to 1.5, and I thought that was a very, very nice balance overall. Then guys, we kind of get into the minimum force feedback. Now again, at this one here, this is the minimum amount of force feedback from what we did above at the 0.4. Now I thought 0.9 from, I think it was 1.1. I could be wrong here, it could be 1.2, whatever the default is. 0.9 was the all-time best. If you go a little too low, I didn't like I needed some kind of strength in the wheel. I didn't want it rotating too much. So 0.9 was nice. As well as the sensitivity, I was at 0.9. I think that was 1.0 default. Those are the best in my opinion. As we get into the road feel scale, I dropped that quite a bit. Again, I think that's a 1.0 default. Yeah, I think it's a 1.0 down to 0.5. Now that there, the road feel with the new dynamics in the game, that's from little bumps to dirt to whatever you hit, you will feel that in your wheel, and 0.5 was perfect. Now, if you're doing this for off-road, I don't really use the wheel for off-roading, but if you're going to be doing off-road, I would also recommend probably dropping that down from 1.0 down to 0.5. But again, I don't really do off-roading, so that's why I left mine at 1.0. And that is essentially it, you guys. But again, keep in mind, these are very subjective. Your setup option will be different than mine. You might have a different wheel. You might prefer more force feedback, so increase your force feedback. You might want more wheel dampering, for example. You might want a more snappy, you know, acceleration, for example, no dead zone. So that's what I'm saying, guys. These are my, you know, go-to settings for the wheel. Now guys, if you're playing on PC, there is another layer to all this here. What I just showed you was on console based. Now we were on the PC side of it. Okay, so on the PC side, you're gonna have to download the Logitech G Hub software. Now in the software, as soon as you connect literally the steering wheel to your system, again, this is specific for the Logitech steering. If you've got the Thrustmaster or any other ones, you'd have to look at what software is out there. You're gonna get prompt literally, and I'll show you here, with your wheel right here. Okay, so once you click on your wheel, it might update it. You're also gonna get access to these settings. Now these settings are on top of what we just covered inside Forza Horizon 5. So as you can see here, I've changed my operating wheel to, it might be a little small, but 650 degrees. Okay, so as you literally turn your wheel, oh, that's weird, awkward. It didn't turn, but it'll show you your rotation essentially at that point. Now on the left side here, you're gonna see operating range. You could literally change it as you want. Let's say 600, you want 950 or 900, sorry. You could change to whatever you guys want. I'm changing that back down to, I find 650 is the all-time, but 900 is too much. It's too artificial, but you guys could play around with it. Sensitivity, 50 is what I have here. I find that works best. Now, as we go down on the left side here, you will see it looks like 3 little pedals. This is the actual pedal setup now. Now, in the pedal setup here, again, you can change the sensitivity. I've put mine to 100%. Brake, I've dropped it down to 35. And for the accelerator, I dropped that down to 15, quite a bit, but I find this works best, guys. Now, that should be it, guys. If you guys play with these settings, I'm hoping it will make your experience much, much better, because if you just plug and play, the setup is absolutely horrendous. You guys really need to fine tune the settings. So the settings today, I hope they do help. Let me know in the comments if they do, you guys. Other than that, good luck, enjoy your racing, and we'll see you in the next video. All right, guys, peace out.
Hey, my friend. I was talking to someone who found a classic car in a granero somewhere in this area. Would you be interested in restoring a pickup truck?